Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to episode 11, Cafe Lux, the South African distributor story. And things are not always as they appear to be. This week, I'm taking you back to Cape Town. It's a story about confidence, charm, and how one guy in flip-flops almost changed the South African capsule game. This is how Cafe Lux was born and how the smoothest deal I'd ever made nearly blew up in my face. After about 24 years of living in Miami, I've just landed back in Cape Town. I didn't know many people, but I'd started this little venture called Cafe Caps. We'd set up a tiny showroom at the Foundry, right next to Beluga Restaurant. Back then, Beluga was the spot. Cape Town's trendsetters, models, startup guys, everyone with an espresso machine, all in one place. A perfect audience for a fledgling coffee brand. And that's where I met Juliet. For a brief period, she works for me in sales. You know the type. Socialite, knows everyone, never misses an event. Champagne in one hand and gossip in the other. She tells me she knows this guy, Kevin Katz, ex-Malibu, California. And from a tech background, he ran a company called Fax.com. Now living in Cape Town, selling e-cigarettes, and apparently wants to, or is interested to distribute my capsules. All right, I think that sounds promising. We set up a meeting at Beluga. So picture this, a first business lunch. I'm dressed smart casual. He walks in wearing jeans and Ed Hardy t-shirt, Prada sunglasses and flip-flops. Now, Cape Town is casual and Miami is casual. But business and flip-flops, that was new to me. But Kevin oozed confidence, the kind that fills the room before he even says it. He tells me he's got supermarket listings locked down through his company, Secret River Trading. All the major retailers. He says, to make it simple, you make the capsules, I'll sell them, I'll pay you in 30 days and pick up from the factory. He'll do all the distribution. Sounds simple, maybe too simple. We met again in a few days. This time, he brings his lawyer, Dan Cantor. Kevin says, I'll pay you $100,000 upfront for the exclusive South African rights. And that was tempting, obviously. But I already had relationships with Vida Cafe and a few others, and I didn't want to upset the apple cart. Kevin swears he knows the Duttons from Vida and he'll cherish these relationships. So in the end, I say, sure, why not? He convinces me. And we sign. Kevin becomes South African distributor. Within weeks, Kevin wants to rebrand. Just after spending a ton on our own branding, and R500,000 on packaging. And he tells me it's not Apple enough. And I mean, Apple, we're selling coffee, not iPhone. Still, I have to admit, when he launched Cafe Lux, it looked good. Clean, premium, minimalist. It worked. We started producing for Checkers, and sales looked strong. Cafe Lux, now in Checkers. Everything looked like a dream partnership. Oliver Marshall from Global Coffee. He supplied Checkers' house brand of coffee, and I'd already been working with him. Now that Kevin had taken over the distribution and he controlled the relationship, first thing he does, he tries to raise Oliver's prices. Oliver says, not so much, not so fast. Then Kevin, in his Malibu wisdom, suggests that they fix prices together. Yeah, not a great idea. Oliver sues him and reports him to the competition. Kevin loses, 900,000 Rand gone. Lesson learned. Never pick a fight with your customer and the government at the same time. Next move, Kevin starts importing coffee machines from China. They could brew both Nespresso and our capsules. Smart play. He bundles the machines with capsules and sells them as starter kits. He even captures customer data with a warranty registration. It was brilliant. Except his first machines looked almost exactly like Nespresso. Guess you noticed? Yep, Nestle's lawyers. And they sued him. He wriggled out and he changed the design and carried on. Classic Kevin, bulletproof ego, titanium flip-flops. Meanwhile, we're still deep in R&D. Avi and I are driving back from APS Plastics after tweaking the capsule design. After some feedback from Eurocap said the closing force of the machines was a little too much. So I made one other redesign to reduce the closing force so people wouldn't think our pods or capsules would break their machines. We're mid-drive when Nils from Eurocaps calls Avi. He says, "What's going on?" Kevin is sending sample capsules to Europe. That's the first and not the only time I've ever seen Avi explode. He shouts, "Who the F is Kevin, and why is he sending capsules to Europe?" It was like watching Mount Vesuvius erupt. He was livid and demanded that I immediately set up a meeting with Kevin. That's when I knew the storm was coming. Avi and Kevin were going to clash. Kevin was greedy, and he didn't just want South Africa. He wanted it all. And he thought he could sell anywhere because he was not Cafe Caps. But he knew full well that he had only the rights to sell in South Africa. That's where we'll leave it for today. Kevin's brand was growing, but so was the tension. Greed, lawyers, and coffee are not always the smoothest blend. Next week, how to solve the Cafe Lux dilemma. And if you're enjoying these behind-the-scenes stories from the Capsule Wars, that's what they are. Hit the button, the like button, and subscribe. And I'll see you next Sunday, right here on Engineered Coffee. Thanks for watching.